On this episode of China Uncensored, Hong Kong gets ready for rule of law. Nathan Law. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Elections were just held for the Hong Kong legislature. It was a record voter turnout. Not since the British handover of Hong Kong to China have so many people showed up to vote. It's almost like they want a voice in the future of their special administrative region. And it was a crucial election. You could kind of look at it like it were a boxing match. In one corner, weighing in at 43 of the 70-seat Legislative Council, you have the pro-Beijing politicians looking to defend their business interests with the mainland communist regime. In the other corner, weighing in at just 27 seats, the scrappy pan-Democrats who favor self-determination and autonomy for Hong Kong. The pan-Democrats needed to keep a minimum of 24 seats in the legislature, or they would lose their veto power. If that happened, Beijing could do whatever it wanted with Hong Kong. And we know from watching history how bad that could be.
I have just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the council permanently. The last remnants of the old republic have been swept away.
And Vegas odds would back the pro-Beijingers, because this isn't exactly a fair match. The pro-Beijing side are coming in with boxing gloves filled with rocks, wrapped in barbed wire, and set on fire. Because this election is to democracy what spam is to meat. It kind of looks like the same thing. They try to sell it as the same thing, but when you open it up and take a whiff, you know there's something deeply wrong. When the British gave Hong Kong back to China in 1997, the Chinese regime agreed that Hong Kong would get to keep the freedoms everyone else in China was denied. Which is why in 2014, Hong Kong's massive student-led pro-democracy protests called the Umbrella Movement didn't end up like this. But over the years, the Chinese regime has been gradually eroding Hong Kong's freedoms in much the same way Chinese leader Xi Jinping has eroded the Zhongnanhai Pantry. I've never seen Xi Jinping so happy. And as always, the party made sure this election came out in Beijing's favor. First of all, the election was only for 40 of the 70 seats on the Legislative Council. The other 30? Those are chosen by functional constituencies. Basically a group of business leaders, special interest groups, and hooded robed figures that appear only under the light of a full moon. And these 30 functional constituencies pretty much always vote the way Beijing wants. In other words, officials with ties to the Chinese regime automatically have veto power no matter how the election turns out. Then, the Hong Kong Electoral Commission forced candidates to sign pledges of loyalty. 6 refused to sign or were considered insincere and banned from running. Did I mention the Communist Party was eroding freedoms in Hong Kong? Okay, so far so good. This is looking like a great election. Doesn't stop there though. During the campaign, Nathan Law, one of the pro-democracy candidates, was convicted of unlawful assembly for his role as one of the key figures in the 2014 Umbrella Movement. The good news is that a sympathetic judge said he was showing concern for society and sentenced him to only 120 hours of community service instead of jail time. So that didn't work out. But throw into the mix a little bit of vote rigging and general thuggery, and you've got this election in the bag, except for that whole record voter turnout thing. And Hong Kongers, for some reason, are getting a little afraid of mainland encroachment. So instead of losing seats, the pan-Democrats ended up gaining. Now they have 30 seats in the legislature. 30 out of 70 seats doesn't sound like much, but remember, only 40 seats were up for grabs, so they've done pretty well. And guess what? 6 of those are young protest leaders, including Nathan Law. And Beijing would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. Chinese media, of course, responded with their usual gloom and doom. State-run Xinhua, citing the Chinese government organ that oversees Hong Kong and Macau, talked about resolute opposition to any form of Hong Kong independence. But here's the problem. As Time magazine put it, after the Umbrella Movement didn't result in any meaningful reform, the protest leaders were dismissed by critics as hapless, unschooled fringe ideologues who ultimately lacked real political power. Well, Now they have real political power, and it's going to be a lot harder to dismiss them. So what do you think of the recent election, and what do you think is in store for the future of Hong Kong? Leave your comments below, and remember, since YouTube is being all weird about ad revenue, consider supporting China Uncensored on Patreon. The link is below. And while you're at it, check out our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter account. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time. On this episode of China Uncensored, a very controversial and sensitive topic. Good thing I can say whatever I— No! On this episode of China Uncensored, China takes aim at guns.